Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and kittens, dogs and fucking puppies, and all the wrestling fans out there all over the world. And of course, there's still quarantine, so there ain't shit we could do about it. Although we're starting to see an opening, but let's see what the fuck happens. But nonetheless, welcome to the Wrestling Enthusiast Real Talk. I am Eric Peralta, otherwise known as a Wrestling Enthusiast. And today, what are we going to talk about today? Oh, yes, we're going to talk more about AEW Dynamite this week, and WWE NXT, and then some wrestling news, and also something that I noticed on Raw that pissed me the fuck off. But, nonetheless, let's take a look at some wrestling news, and let's see what's going down in the crazy world of wrestling. And let's see what the heck is going to happen here. But before we do that, I just want to give a quick acknowledgement to the passing of hardcore wrestler Supreme. He was famous for wrestling in XPW, and he wrestled in Mexico several times. I got a notification from Joey Chaos Munoz, saying that his uncle passed away. So at the age of 49, he was about to be 50 at the end of this month, and unfortunately he would not live to see that. So and it's really heartbreaking to hear about that, but of course my condolences go out to Supreme and Munoz family, and of course over there at Santino Brother Wrestling Academy. Like I said, heart's broken for that, but like I said, my condolences to everyone that's been affected by this terrible tragedy. And my thoughts are with them as well as everyone else for the wrestling world. Because right now, work stoppage in wrestling, it's not pretty. Especially in these trying times, everyone's trying to do something to make money, not less. Also, sell merchandise, which I have. I've made a few contributions here and there. I bought myself a few t-shirts here and there, and got me a nice Sue Young shirt. I also got myself an NWA Power shirt, and I also have an AEW shirt. I got like two of them, actually. One with Chris Jericho with a little bit of the bubbly. Speaking of a little bit of the bubbly, we're going to take a look at the news. And it's not really too much going on in the newsworthy today, but we're going to check out. But first of all, we're going to start with the viewership of this week's episode. Before I review them, I'm going to take a look at the numbers for this week's episodes and what the ratings draw was. So, this week's episode of NXT drew 663,000 viewers on the USA Network, which is up from the previous week's show that did 637. So they grew a couple of more people in the ratings. So in the 18 to 49 demographic, they drew a 0.18 rating, which is also up. And that's key demographic on that one there. Also, as far as AEW Dynamite is concerned, on TNT, it pulled 732,000 viewers, which is up from last week's show, which did 693,000. They drew a 0.28 rating on the 18 to 49 key demographic there, which was up from the previous 0.27 the week before. And I think rightfully so. AEW Dynamite deserved that victory. It was a hell of a show. I was intrigued by it, but I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Let's see. CZW, independent promotion, that specializes in hardcore wrestling. They postponed their annual Tournament of Death event, unfortunately, because a lot of events have been postponed because of this pandemic. The coronavirus pandemic has postponed the CCW Tournament of Death event, which has been originally scheduled for June 20th. The company says due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, CCW has no choice but to officially postpone Tournament of Death to a later date, when it'll be safer for everyone involved. Tickets will be refunded for people that have purchased tickets. All right, and a couple of more items here. I got a statement from Old Man Vinnie Mac. Vinnie Mac and Cheese, the old fart himself, the old fart of the ancient old rustic fossil that fucking owns the biggest wrestling conglomerate in the world, gave a happy birthday message to Kevin Owens today and says, I'm quoting from his Twitter, and I'm going to say it in his voice too. He's a fighter, and an inspiration in his own unique way. Okay, I don't know if you're giving a thumbs up about him. Kevin Owens is actually recovering from a knee injury of some sort. Don't know how long he's going to be, but they are going to take a look at that. And let's see what's going to happen from here. I don't know when the official timetable is going to be for his return. I mean, I think what happened was that he injured himself on one time when he did that bump at WrestleMania this past April, and I think what happened was he might have tweaked his knee a little bit when he landed on the announce table, but it was a sick ass spot, and it was worthy of excitement there. Now on the other side of the spectrum, we have a statement from the Revolt, formerly known as the Revival, and they made some serious comments about Vince McMahon and the way WWE views Southern wrestlers and stuff like that. So we're going to take a look at it. Now, of course, according to Chris Jericho's Talk is Jericho podcast, a podcast I do support, the Revolt, a.k.a. the Revival in WWE, commentated on Vince McMahon and WWE's attitude towards wrestlers with Southern accents and more. You can check out some highlights from the podcast, which is, in quote, there was a question that was asked, what do you think about WWE's management, and didn't think you could get very far with a Southern accent? And Cash Wheeler, I think he was, that's what he said. I think Cash Wheeler is formerly Dash Wilder, I believe. He says, unquote, anytime we had interaction with Vince, they always went really well. He was very open. He would listen. He was very responsive and complimentary, to the point where we were taken aback sometimes that he was aware of things that we didn't think he would be. But like he said also, it wasn't just a Vince thing. I think a lot of the upper management there, for some reason, they just think with a Southern accent, you're only going to go so far. Scott Dawson on feeling whether WWE only wanted to keep them away from the other companies. And he said the following statement. I don't know if they are actually wanted us. I just think that the threat of us leaving when there was another company that's getting a lot of a buzz and attention, a lot of press, they didn't want that. I think they knew there was opportunity for us outside of WWE, and I think they just wanted to keep us away from that opportunity. Well, for the most part, in my opinion, I think they wanted to get out of WWE and then head to either AEW or NJPW or Ring of Honor, wherever they wanted to go. And then when Scott Dawson was asked about tag teams that they wanted to work with most, he says, unquote, there's so many tag teams out there that we want to work with, from Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, AEW, obviously, and New Japan. And not saying all those guys are going to want us, but that's just our goal, is to work with the guys like they're called the North from Impact Wrestling. And I agree with that. First of all, let me just stop right there. The North is a very good tag team. I seen them wrestle in Impact Wrestling. I seen them wrestle in the independent promotions. Even at Alpha One, I think they made a one-time appearance. Warrior Wrestling was another promotion that they made an appearance. Great wrestlers. They make great matches, so I recommend watching them. And I continue to quote, they are a great tag team I love to work with. Obviously, we get tagged with them a lot. The Briscoes from Ring of Honor, we love to work with them. And the Gorillas from New Japan. CJ or Juice Robinson and David. We love to go there and work with those guys. And on top of that list, obviously, is the match that we've heard about since 2016. And it's, of course, us versus the Young Bucks. I'm going to stop right there for a minute, and that's the end of the article anyway. I think that was an omen in a way. And that kind of gives us a bit of an indication of where they want to go. And they want to have a match with the Young Bucks. They want to see high-flying Lucha Libre style wrestling compared with the classic, traditional, old-school ground mat wrestling, hard, stiff, hard-hitting action that they want to get involved in. So they want to see if they could mix up styles or some such. So, yeah. I mean, I'd definitely pay to see that. Obviously, we're not going to see it on Double or Nothing, which is, by the way, going to have their pay-per-view on May the 23rd, I believe. Yeah, May 23rd. May 24th, somewhere around there. Yeah, I think someone told me it's May 23rd. That is going to be something. And I don't know how they're going to pull this off with no crowd. I mean, they did pull it off with no crowd at this past episode of Dynamite, so they did it. They did it. But, you know, we still have to see other ways. It's been a rather slow day in the news department. There's one more article I will pass along. Nia Jax comments on breaking Becky Lynch's nose and Kevin Owens' biggest matches. And, yeah, they already mentioned that from his birthday article. I'm going to pass through that. Let's go see what Nia Jax says about Becky Lynch. She appeared on Kayla Braxton Beat earlier today, which was FaceTiming from the WWE. During the interview, Jax commented on breaking Becky Lynch's nose during the weekend of Survivor Series of 2018. And she said, "I won't take anything away from Becky Lynch. You know she's so boastful of herself. She worked hard and granted that night. However it happened, will go down in infamy. And I'm not going to say I helped create her. I think that it was an opportunity that happened that night, and she became an icon." And that was understandable. I mean, if you could understand that type of perspective, I mean, Nia Jax definitely got a lot of shit for. She got a lot of shit for being rough a couple of weeks back when she did a buckle bomb on Kairi Sane, and then she hit the back of Kairi's head right around the bottom turnbuckle. So yeah, I mean, my suggestion for that was, yeah, you know, they need to tell her in the locker room, you got to be careful, you can't be doing buckle bombs anymore, otherwise we're gonna have a big long talk. And you know, once they cut that off from her arsenal, I think maybe she might get the point from there. And that's pretty much the news. One more bit of news, and that's business. And it's at the closing bell on Thursday, WWE stock was at $43.81. That is up 30 cents, which is 0.69% from Wednesday's closing price on the stock market. Okay, well, I guess that does it for the wrestling news. There hasn't really been much going on. There will be one thing I will mention real quick, and that is that one thing that did catch my eye. AEW was fined $10,000 for the match that featured Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, and it was supposed to be a lights out, unsanctioned match. Now, in my opinion, it was a great match. At the same time, it was very, very violent. Very violent indeed. I'm not going to criticize it for violence because it was like a hardcore match. And it was bloodied. It was brutal. It was gruesome. There was a lot of crazy shit going on. Like using the golden anchor chain, using fucking mouse traps. I never seen that before in professional wrestling history. Never in my life have I ever seen that. Barbed wire fence, a broken glass, And then that spot right outside the ring where they brought that barbed wire spring. Oh my god, I fucking cringed when I saw that. It was brutal. Then they fought out with the spotlight near the entrance ramp, and then they fought. Then they fought when Jon Moxley took some padding out of the ring and exposed some of the wood barrier that was on the ring. So, and once he slammed him towards that a couple of times, that was it. And that was one of the most brutal matches of 2019 I have seen, as far as like hardcore style or Extreme Rules style matches. I mean, that was just crazy. So anyway, there was a news article afloat saying that the Maryland State Athletic Commission investigated from the Full Gear pay-per-view, which they investigated the match, and they guess today in the past couple of days they come into a verdict saying that they have been fined $10,000 for the match between Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, and now they're under a microscope for at least a year if they're going to do another show over there, and now they're going to be under a microscope to make sure that they don't do it again. Now, I just want to say, I want to know who exactly thought that was justified, because these athletic commissions are fucking bullshits, they're fucking assholes, and they're shitheads. I'm going to give you a quick story real quick. And this is not even wrestling related. This is MMA related. This has something to do with mixed martial arts. Okay. I'm going to give shit to the Nevada State Athletic Commission as well. There was a fight going on. The main event was supposed to be Israel Adesanya versus Yoel Romero in UFC 248. And that was the most recent pay-per-view that we have had unless you're listening to this on May 9th, which Tony Ferguson's going to fight Justin Cathegi. Whatever the fuck you call his name. So that's going to be a hoot. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, what caught my eye in UFC 248, Zhang Weili was a co-main event for the UFC Women's Strawweight Championship. Zhang Weili fought against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. And all 5 rounds of that fight, they were just fucking punching, kicking the shit out of each other. They just kept scrapping, punching. So many swings, left hands, right hands, jabs, body shots, kicks, punches, you name it. They did everything in that fucking fight. I thought it was the best fight I might have seen, because in all 5 rounds, 5 minutes per round, by the way, which means for 25 minutes straight, they were swinging at each other left and right, up and down, and they were fucking each other up to a point where Joanna Jędrzejczyk, her forehead looked like she went from a regular woman that was about to fight Zhang Weili, and at the end of that 5-round fight, she ended up looking like Rocky Dennis. I was amazed at how amazing that fight was. You couldn't predict the winner of that. Zhang Weili retained. That was an awesome, awesome fight. That's not the point. The point is that about 2 weeks later, there was a news conference going on saying that in Nevada State Athletic Commission would suspend Zhang Weili and Joanna Jędrzejczyk for 6 months and find the UFC $15,000 for an aggressive bout. So you know what I think? I think these fucking athletic commissions are full of shit, and they're just fucking trying to find a way to control people. Fuck you, you fucking prick. Especially you, Patrick Panella. Fuck you, you fucking jerk-off, no good suit-wearing piece of shit. Fuck you, and shove that $10,000 straight up you and your mama's fucking ass. You fucking guinea. Government officials once again trying to control and fucking fuck up everyone's lives. This fucking pandemic is certainly one of the reasons why. Fuck all you. Well, on the lighter side of the spectrum, I say let's take a look at this past Wednesday's AEW Dynamite, and let's take a look at WWE NXT. Both shows I thought were good, but I thought AEW's show was better. And I'll go down that in a minute. First, I would like to start off with NXT. The first match was Johnny Gargano fighting Dominik Dijakovic, who's had a hell of a rivalry going on, with Keith Lee, the North American champion. So I saw this match, and I thought to myself, Johnny Gargano coming in with new entrance music. Candice LeRae, now the Poison Pixie. I see where they're trying to go here. They're adjusting to the heel turn, so to say. So I think that's what's going on. So Johnny Gargano's now fighting dirty. So against Dominik Dijakovic, who is considered a super heavyweight. So it would be interesting to see how this match was. So then I took a look, and it was a basic back and forth. There was some moments, a couple of elbow strikes, and some toss slams and shit. And Gargano was faking a knee injury in the beginning of the match. And then all of a sudden he attacked the knee. He tried to sucker him in, tried to sucker Dominik Dijakovic, and then grounded him. Dijakovic then ended up falling with a couple of strikes, and then Dijakovic cuts him off. And then he stomped. While he was stomping around, that's when Candice LeRae started coming in. And then she started distracting Dijakovic. Gargano ended up dumping him, and then followed with a suicide dive with a tope suicida. And while that was going on, when they got some momentum going on, just when it was about to start getting good, we go to a fucking commercial break. And I'm like, man, I don't know what's up with these fucking commercial breaks, but fuck, it just kind of irritates me. And they set it up too. I mean, God, I hate that idea. Who's fucking telling them to do this shit? And you could tell by when they go to the commercial break, and a tope suicida from Johnny Gargano into Dominik Dijakovic. Who's going to end up winning this match? We're about to find out when we return. Can Dominik Dijakovic actually hang on and take over Johnny Gargano? See, that indicates to me they're going to fucking commercial break. And once I hear them start saying that with a bit of over-exaggeration, I'm thinking to myself, oh, Christ, we're going to commercial. Jesus Christ, fucking all-star. So anyway, back to the match. Gargano tried to remove the turnbuckle pad, and then Dijakovic cut him off with a choke bomb for a 2 count. There's already a couple of near falls in this match. So then Dijakovic heads to the top, and then Gargano ends up stopping him. Dijakovic flips out of the sunset bomb and then hits a super kick and then elbows to the corner. It was a hard-hitting, stiff-looking super kick with some elbows, so it was good-looking. Gargano, he tried to get the turnbuckle pad off, and then once again, then the Feast Your Eyes set up for Dijakovic. Then Gargano ended up countering into a Hurricanrana, and that sent Dijakovic into the exposed turnbuckle. The referee didn't see it while Candice LeRae was distracting the referee. Gargano then hits a slingshot DDT for the win, and Johnny Gargano defeats Dominik Dijakovic. And I have a feeling that he might contend for the North American Championship, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, his nice, brief little NXT title run had gone, 2 months? It was a 2-month title reign. At least he got the balls to say he was NXT champion at one point. And that was a fun little rivalry between him and Adam Cole. Some of the greatest matches I ever seen. But nonetheless, this match with Double D, I mean, it was good, competitive. It's kind of solidified how the heelish Gargano would be. But, I mean, it was kind of a bit cliche. But, I mean, I'm not going to hate on that. Next up, we see a little video here of Imperium challenging Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher. And it's a challenge for the Tag Team Championship for NXT's Tag Team titles. So let's see how that goes from there. And we'll probably have a match for them next week. All right, Cruiserweight tournament time. And Akira Tozawa versus Jack Gallagher. And Gallagher started when he missed a dropkick at the bell. And Jack Gallagher already looks like a shit already. Tozawa, though, he was doing really well. I mean, he hit with headbutts here and there, and Gallagher catched Tozawa with a leapfrog attempt, but then he hit a Samoan drop. Then Tozawa just battled back with a Saito suplex, which was good. He stopped with a suicide dive attempt, and then he used a forearm. He followed up with a knee to the back, and then used a surfboard-like maneuver, and it was very good. I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch. This match was impressive, but here's the thing, and I'm going to go to the end of the match on my notes here. Tozawa chopped, and then Tozawa countered with a DDT onto the apron. Tozawa finished it with a top rope senton, and Akira Tozawa is up 2-0, I think, against Jack Gallagher. So, okay, here's the thing. I rate this match a 6 out of 10. Not bad. By the way, Johnny Gargano and Dijakovic match was a 6.5 out of 10. But here's the thing. That's not the point that I'm rating the matches. Here's the fucking thing that bothers my ass. Big time. So, Akira Tozawa is a fucking jobber on Monday Night Raw, but is nobody to fuck with on Wednesday. What the fuck are you doing, Vince? Okay, let's move on with the review, because we'll talk about that later on. I'll explain more of that in a couple of minutes. The third match was Chelsea Green taking on Xia Li. And not much of a match here. Lee controlled early on and survived Green's attack. However, Aaliyah comes and arrived. And then she distracted Xia Li. And then Chelsea Green ended up hitting a shitty and heavily edited Unprettier, which, in my opinion, you could tell. Because this shit's tape. It's not live like AEW Dynamite was this week. But anyway, this Unprettier was rather shittier. So anyway, so my question is, this is a squash match that didn't even last a minute and a half. Why is Aaliyah versus Xia Li having a feud here? Can we get Chelsea a finish she can hit properly too? She's still a bit green. No pun intended there, Chelsea. I mean, I'm pretty sure she has potential to be a superstar, but let me tell you this. She needs to work on something that's really solid for finisher. And I know she's good because I've seen her independent matches. So I'm pretty sure she could get something going on for herself. And I know she is. After the matchup, they tease Aaliyah joining the Robert Stone brand. So let's see how that goes. Meantime, after that little schlub, Velveteen Dream tells Adam Cole the time has finally come. The minutes, the seconds, we have reached our moment. Where do I have heard that before? Ricky Steamboat, WrestleMania 3? Maybe it was an homage thing. I don't know. It might have been. Okay, so Adam Cole and The Dream for the NXT Championship, and that'll be your main event. No, Adam Cole, it is not a dream. It is more than that. It is dream over. Okay, so here comes the most talked about segment. Not a match, because I cannot qualify this match as being a this kind of squash match as being a match, much less it gets no rating. Desire Lee, Chelsea Green match, no rating. Karrion Kross. This is his debut. Formerly Killer Kross. And I met Killer Kross. I have met him before. So he's a cool guy. He wrestled at the PCW Ultra Show. He is definitely fantastic. He had a match with former WWE wrestler Chris Masters, the Masterpiece, and he was very good. I even seen him at bar wrestling a few times in SoCal. So he's a great wrestler. He has a great attitude too. You know, I appreciate. I bought some of his merchandise, and I told him, "Hey, you guys deserve it, man." You know, I mean, you guys bust your ass day in, day out in that ring, fucking doing what you got to do. I just think you guys don't get paid enough for it. I mean, I'm pretty sure they are getting paid now. But, you know, I'm just trying to say I appreciate the indie wrestlers, because, you know, they work day in and day out to be the best. And that's a quality you don't have. I mean, that's a quality that some people don't realize. So I really appreciate their efforts. Okay. Karrion Kross debuts with Scarlett, and it's looking like Scarlett when he's entering the ring. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat here. Okay. Scarlett comes down to the ring, and she's lip syncing. It looks like she's lip syncing it, but it's true. Rumor has it that she actually sung Karrion Kross's entrance theme. Wow, that was pretty interesting, I will say. So I was intrigued by it. Pretty awesome. So he faces Leon Ruff. Obviously, Leon Ruff is going to job here. Scarlett is at ringside. Kross fucking wrecks him. Cross jacket submission, that's it. Not even a minute. But you know what? This is exactly what it needed to be for Kross, because he needed to debut strong and put up a first impression. Even though it's only 3 or 4 moves, think of it as dominance. And this is a good way to do it. So Karrion Kross looked superb. And it might be, like I said, a squash match, but at the same time, he looked excellent here. Powerful. I just can't give the match a rating, because it's lasted less than 3 minutes. I can't do that. Okay, so Matt Riddle accepts Imperium's challenge for next week. So the NXT tag team titles are on the line next week. Okay, so women's NXT championship matchup is next. Charlotte Flair versus Io Shirai. And the way this matchup goes is they locked up. Charlotte controlled early, and she powered her way through in this matchup. And then Io Shirai tries to use that speed of hers, and she tries to use it up. And because Charlotte tried to take control early in the matchup, and then they didn't. And then they went to commercial break. Post-break, Charlotte was getting to do a splash. She missed it into the corner, and Io followed with some kicks. Springboard drop kick, because she's fast as lightning. Charlotte ended up cutting her off. Then they trade until Io hits a hurricanrana on her. Io follows with strikes until Charlotte cuts her off. Then she gives her a good old backbreaker to go to boot. Charlotte went for the moonsault, but she missed. Io hit a 619 and running a double knee strike into the corner and gets a near fall. So there was already several near falls. There was already several topes and moonsaults here. So both of them were doing a hell of a match. And then this fucking got me pissed. Once it felt to me things were getting good. Because once Io countered with a hurricanrana and then she missed a moonsault, which looked fabulous. Charlotte gets a fucking kendo stick, and then she fucking hits Io Shirai with it and gets disqualified. And once the bell rings for a disqualification, Charlotte kept attacking Io's knee, which was supposedly a weak spot because it was Io Shirai's surgically repaired knee. Then Rhea came in and she made the save, and then ran her off making her look like a coward little bitch. And then, as soon as she was going to walk away, she told Io to shut the hell up, and then they started walking away, and then they went to commercial break. And then post-break, they come back from the commercial break. Rhea says she is sick of Charlotte and her bow-down crap. She said WrestleMania was one night, and she would like to see her do it again. So, and then Io, and then she went and got into Io's face, and then they started arguing and shit, and before you know it, they end up getting separated. So, the match was 7 out of 10. But my opinion, this could have been a 9. I'll be honest with you. 8.5 at the least. But it was down to a 7 because of the DQ finish. What a load of shit. But I'm not saying it's bad. It's good. Definitely good. But what the fuck? What the fuck were they thinking about making a disqualification type finish? That's just not very good. The work was good, and it was very good. And I was intrigued by this match. It's just the finish was flat. The good news is that Io didn't lose clean. She won by disqualification, so she's still going to be in this feud. So she's not going to get shuffled off. So now we got some ideas. I mean, maybe we might have a triple threat. Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, Charlotte Flair, which in my opinion she don't really deserve to have that title in NXT, but I'm not really hating on her either because she's a capable athlete. So I'm not going to hate on her. It's the ones that are not capable that are getting a heavy push. That's the ones I get pissed off about. And I'm not saying it's the wrestler's fault. I'm saying it's the booker's fault. They're kissing Charlotte Flair's ass, but I'm not hating on it that much because I think she could back up her athleticism. And yeah, she might be a Flair. Yeah, it might be a bit of a nepotism for a thing or two, but whatever. I mean, it works out in my opinion. Some people are going to disagree with this, but I'm going to say I'm not going to hate on her because she's capable. It's capable of work. Capable of working a match. So there you go. It's my opinion. Okay, next up on the Cruiserweight Open, Kushida versus Jake Atlas. I've already mentioned how great Jake Atlas is a worker. Imagine the great of a wrestler, the great ability he has, PCW Ultra. So I mentioned that several times. Kushida, in my opinion, is a personal favorite. They worked into a fun, counter-filled opening stretch match. And then Kushida dumped Atlas and hit a senton to the floor. That was very, very good. And there was a couple of hit tosses and cartwheels, drop kicks, followed with the shote into the corner. Then Atlas fighting back with a German suplex and then drop kick for a near fall. Then Kushida gets momentum back with the kicks to the shoulder. And then Atlas gets offense in as well, and then with a back handspring into the neck breaker. So then they work back into the corners as Atlas goes up top and is caught by Kushida into a flying arm bar, and then Atlas taps out. Now, I'm surprised. It was a great match, but here's the problem. The fucking match lasted 3 fucking minutes. What the fuck? These guys deserve more time than that. These guys definitely deserve more than that. So no rating. That was a dick move by the booker, whoever booked this shit. Then, once after a relatively tame Finn Balor video package, So see, he's going to come after the top dog to get a push, or whoever attacked him won't get a push, whatever. So who attacked you? Who the fuck attacked you? But I digress. Cameron Grimes versus Denzel DeJournay. The match sucked. It was fine. It was a squash just to keep Cameron Grimes' momentum going. But it sucked, in my opinion. So I'm sorry. No disrespect to Cameron Grimes' work ethic. I'm pretty sure he's a fucking good wrestler. I seen him at WWE NXT Live in Riverside, California. He fought against Damian Priest. But hey, he's pretty good. He cuts promo saying that if Finn Balor was right here, right now, I slap him in his face. And before you know it, Balor ends up showing up. Then he starts hesitating like a fucking pussy. And then all of a sudden, Balor fucking hits him with a coup de grace and shit. And then slaps him down, knocks him down. Typical heel shit. Okay, so it's now time for the main event. The NXT champion Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream. And the match was pretty good. Pretty good way to start. They locked up and then they worked the ropes as Dream was taking control with some strikes here and there. So he got some early momentum going. To the floor as he whipped Cole into the steps. Then he ended up getting back in. Cole hit super kicks until Dream ended up countering. And then the last shot into a spine buster. Gets a near fall out of it, the whole thing. Cole to the apron, then Dream stuns him off the ropes, cuts him off. Okay, see, this is a good match, but here's a problem here. Something that lacked oomph in this match, in my opinion. There was a couple of back and forths here and there, and it seemed to me like Adam Cole kind of looked good here, but at the same time, Velveteen Dream, he also looked good, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure these two are more capable than this. I'm pretty sure they're more capable than this. I mean, it was really weird to watch this match and then say it's surprisingly average. But, I'm pretty sure this is not their best effort, and they could do more than this eventually. So anyway, back towards the match. There's a couple of moves here, late towards the match. Cole was gonna hit a backstabber on Velveteen Dream a little bit in the end for a near fall. Then he gave him an enziguri and then an OG last shot. Another near fall happens. Adam Cole started talking shit, and they started trading blows. And then Dream got dumped. He fired back, started hitting him, punching, kicking him. Heads up to the top, then flies into a super kick and falls on Cole. 2 count, once again. And then all of a sudden, Dexter Lumis comes in and then attacked Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish. And then all of a sudden, there's a referee bump right there. So there was some unpredictability going around with a purple Rainmaker, and then there was still no ref to make the count. So Dream takes out the Undisputed Era, and then all of a sudden Adam Cole gets a last shot, and boom, the match was over. Now, here's the deal. In a way, I am kind of glad that Adam Cole retained his title, because the match started off good. But then the match faded. The ethic was not there. Something was off in this match. It was a solid match. But I expected a lot better. It was unspectacular. Which is another reason why I think NXT, they need to do a takeover. Even if it is in front of no crowd in a pandemic. It just didn't feel like an NXT title main event match. in any way, shape, or form. It didn't even feel worthy of a TV main event. It's just kind of lackluster in a way. There was no real drama in Dream winning the title and after all that built. And there was a lot of build to it. The extracurricular activity didn't add anything to it at all either. Especially the Dexter Loomis shit where he started attacking the Undisputed Era. And then the referee bump that you knew for a fact somebody was going to get hit. Wouldn't you know that? Wouldn't you know what the fuck happened? Huh? That extracurricular shit didn't do anything. So, it was solid. The thing is, when I'm watching NXT, I'm thinking with the solid work, solid's not going to cut it, especially if you're at a war. If you're in a war with an up-and-coming wrestling promotion who's trying to take over. Better yet, and this is a Vince McMahon move that I always say, better yet, you started this fucking Wednesday Night War. You wanted to counter-program AEW. Because AEW said, look, we're just here to create a wrestling show, and let's see how that goes. So, how about Wednesday Night Dynamite? Okay, let's do that. So, because of this, NXT said, okay, well, let's see how NXT does. How about we put them 5 o'clock Wednesday night on USA Network? Now, of course, it sounds good on paper, but this is what started the Wednesday Night War. This shit is not going to fly. This shit is not going to fly. Average or solid is not going to fly. Especially during a ratings war. You don't want to do that shit. So a 6 out of 10. The show gets... it gets a 5.5. And the reason why I get it a 5.5 is because of all the non-ratings. There was 3 matches that had non-ratings. You want to know which ones they were? That was Xia Li versus Chelsea Green. Karrion Kross versus Leon Ruff. Which Karrion Kross did look good. I'm complimenting his appearance here in his debut. I'm not complimenting the match, however. The effort was great. But not the match. It doesn't even qualify as a match. Kushida versus Jake Atlas had no rating. And Cameron Grimes versus Denzel DeJournay, which was a shitty fucking squash match. That was no rating as well. So with all that shit going on, why the fuck would you fuck around? I give credit to where credit is due. Johnny Gargano fighting Dominik Dijakovic was a 6.5. Akira Tozawa, who could win on Wednesday on NXT but can't win on fucking Monday Night Raw. That was good against Jack Gallagher. That was a 6.5. The Io Shirai Charlotte Flair NXT Women's match, that was a 7. And Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream was, surprising to my surprise, a 6. So this show gets a 5.5 out of 10. I have not seen an NXT this bad since the New Year's Day review show. And that was a gimme for AEW. So fuck that. So, with that in mind, how about AEW Dynamite? You want to see how they did? Let's find out, shall we? Okay. So this is not only AEW Dynamite, but this is also the very first live episode of AEW Dynamite since a month and a half, for the past 6 weeks, when quarantine barely started. The show started off with Cody fighting against Joey Janela. And my, oh my, it was great. JR was back in commentary. Tony Schiavone was there, but he's always there. And Excalibur came back, but nobody notices. I mean, anyway. Okay. So Cody versus Joey Janela. So they lock up. Cody follows with a tackle. They pick up the pace, and then they trade near falls. Right away, we're already starting with near falls already. And couple of suplexes with body shots, a couple of basic maneuvers first. And then we started getting off with some suplexes. Then we started whipping into turnbuckles with some Irish whips. Then Joey Janela actually got some momentum going, and then he hits and then stuns Cody off the ropes. Then give a back suplex to Cody, gets a near fall. Janela kept things grounded for a little while. And Cody kept fighting back and escaped, but then he got cut off with a couple of punches and kicks. And then they fought into the floor. Cody got whipped into the barricade, which the wrestlers were hanging around right there, and they're doing a fantastic job to make up for a crowd. We got some heels, we got some baby faces. It works. So they go to the floor, and Cody is whipped to the barricade. So then there are a couple of chops and punches and kicks by Joey Janela. Cody cuts him off and then goes to the ramp, and then Janela follows with more chops and then hits a running disaster kick. And then he gets a moonsault to the floor. It was a nice little spot right there to add some drama and some athleticism into the matchup. So that was very good. So Cody sidestepped him, hits a disaster kick, and then gets a moonsault to the floor. Back in, and Cody follows with some strikes, then a pump kick. And there was a lot of back and forth in this matchup. Lots of back and forth. Even though Joey Janela was working hard in this match, which he did. He did a hell of a job. But Cody kind of carried this match a bit. Janela looked good, though. So Cody hits the power slam, gets a near fall. There was a lot of near falls in this match. But I'm not complaining, because sometimes the near falls end up adding the excitement to it. So Janela countered the Cody cutter into a German suplex. Then he gives him a fucking lariat. And then a moonsault, but then he misses. Then the Cody cutter gets a 2 count again. Then Janela begs off. Cody follows with a couple of punches and kicks and strikes. And then they trade lightening up each other once again. Then Cody counters into a crossroads and boom, pins him. 1, 2, 3. This was really good and competitive. It was really good. Cody looked very good. Cody continued to have fun matches with everyone. And I think in a personal perspective, I think in my eyes, Cody will put anyone over. As long as they follow up with him. So the match gets an 8 out of 10. I love this match. And as far as I'm concerned, that was higher than any match from NXT this week. So kudos to Cody and Joey Janela on this one. Next up, we have a Nyla Rose package, because we have not seen her defend that title, that women's championship. And how long has it been? About 6-7 weeks? So Tony tried to interview Rose, who says that video was cute, as she is a real dominant force. Now go do your job as I do mine. That's what she tells him. That was she's trying to intimidate Tony Schiavone. And you know, to tell you the truth, she probably could beat the shit out of him. So he ended up fucking walking away. Smart. So she ends up in a squash match with Kenzie Page. She's an independent wrestler. I'm pretty sure she's just here to make Nyla Rose look good. Rose actually tried to attack her, and then all of a sudden Rose just pummeled Kenzie Page, and Kenzie tried to fight back, and it right away just stopped, and then Rose just tossed her around like a fucking rag doll, and then heads up top, and then the Swanton crushes Kenzie, and it gets a near fall, which surprised the fuck out of me. And the reason why it surprised the fuck out of me, because she fucking pulled her up. And I said to myself, oh, I thought that was it. But apparently, no. She just wanted to get more, the typical heel move. But, the Beast Bomb hits, and then hits another, and then a third, and ended up finishing it. So she dominated. But this match gets no rating. Reason why is because the match didn't last 3 minutes. That's my rule. But it's fine. I mean, she looked dominating here. So Nyla Rose dominated. It was pretty much one-sided in a way. It was 80-20. The momentum going to Nyla Rose's way. But no rating because it was under 3 minutes. But it was fine. MJF arrived via video talking about people thinking they're the next big thing. Blah, 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 blah. He's a 24-year-old kid, quote-unquote. And he says that in quotologies. But he says he's a prodigy. And he is no kid. He's not a rock piper. He's not a rock piper or rock or whatever the fuck he's saying. Rock, paper, scissors. I don't know. He's something that we never seen. He comes back. His spot will be on the throne. Spot on the throne will be waiting for him, along with fucking Wardlow. He is MJF, and he's better than you, and injury-free next week. Whoop-de-fucking-do. But you know what? He was playing off that heel part really nicely, so that was intriguing. Intriguing promo. Shawn Spears comes up now and says Dustin Rhodes' career is over, and he blames Cody for that. He let his brother be brutalized and didn't protect him when he could have stopped it. Because he's selfish or because he wants the Rhodes legacy for himself, Spears and MJF are betting and tip Tony. MJF mocks the talent and saying he is back next week and puts over Spears for his comments on Cody. Spears praises MJF for his comeback story, which is better than a 30 for 30 special. Come on. Don't fucking make me laugh. So MJF will face Jungle Boy at Double or Nothing. And MJF is pissed. Well, we're getting a couple of matches announced already, so that's good. So, non-title match. We got Jon Moxley, the champ, AEW champion, against Frankie Kazarian. One third of SCU. So, they lock up, and they started brawling. It was a good brawl. But they started working around on the ground. And then Moxley fought back, working to his feet, attacks the arm, following with chops. And then they started grounding things again. And Kazarian was taking some counters, and he took control, grounding the champion. And Moxley escapes. So he knows a thing or two, despite him being known as a brawler. But he has practice on his wrestling grounds, and I could say he's improved quite a bit. I mean, it's just, yeah, I just think it's just, he's rather clever for doing what he's doing, but, working on his wrestling skills, but also his brawling skills are top notch. So they started trading blows, and Moxley, a little bit after the match, a little bit midway towards the match, Moxley hit a Regal knee trembler that sent Kaz to the floor, and then Kaz followed with because Kaz cut him off. Kaz followed with some slingshot DDTs. And then it was a near fall. Tried to set up for an unprettier. And then he's countered into a German suplex. Then Kazarian counters into a backstabber and unprettier, but gets a 2 count. See, this kind of thing kind of feels familiar in a way, but at the same time, whew. So, it was very impressive ground wrestling here, but at the same time, they were aggressive. Frank Kazarian and Jon Moxley, they did very good. So, at the end of the match, there was a lariat by Moxley, And then Kazarian cradles him for a near fall. He suplexes Moxley to the buckles. And then they work up at the top. Kazarian then knocks him off the fucking top turnbuckle. But then Moxley ended up countering and then gives him the dirty deeds and then finished him off. So it was good. Very good. It wasn't as good as a Cody-Joey Janela match, but it was a 7.5 out of 10. Good stuff. Competitive. Moxley got TV time. Kazarian looked good. And after the match, the Dark Order minions attacked. So then SCU tried to make the save, but they get their asses handed to them on a silver platter. Scorpio Sky, Christopher Daniels, and Frank Kazarian all get their asses whooped. And then it was John Moxley gets fucking jumped 7-on-1. Then Brody Lee started fucking coming out. Brody Lee said, I have something that I desire for the AEW Championship. So he's officially challenging for the AEW Championship, which means it's probably going to be the match at Double or Nothing. And then Moxley's barely breathing, saying, all you gotta do is ask. Then he gets fucking jumped again. After he got laid out by a big-ass boot by Brody Lee. And then they swarmed on his ass 7-on-1 once again. He got fucked up. He got basically jumped. So there you go. 7.5 out of 10 for Kazarian and John Moxley. I think they did really well. The aftermath was a little bit quaint, but at the same time, I thought it's progressing something going on for Double or Nothing. So we might be onto something there, Chief. Anyway, so we look at a promo here of Brandy Rhodes. She commented for Jake the Snake Roberts, and that the messages he sent, she knows a confrontation is coming. They'll try to scare her and Cody will save her so that they can trap him. That's old school and good, but it's not 1991 anymore. She will fight back. She's an independent woman. Oh my. Okay. First of all, this storyline is interesting and all, but it's really weird how the way they fucking fucked up Dustin Rhodes into retirement. Am I the only one that finds that odd how they progressed the storyline? Because wasn't Jake Roberts supposed to be quarantined or some shit? Because he's an old man. I mean, no disrespect, but you know, was he like supposed to be quarantined or some shit? He ended up showing up later in the show, but I'll tell you that more in a minute. Lance Archer versus QT Marshall. Brandy's at ringside, as is Jake, which that's, again, like I said, was he supposed to be fucking quarantined? He came out in a fucking face mask, which everybody's wearing in public now these days. Takes the fight to Lance. So, you know, Marshall takes the fight to Lance, and then gets cut off and ends up beating the shit out of QT Marshall, pretty much. Then Lance Archer hit QT Marshall with an apron choke slam. That was fucking brutal. There was a near fall by Lance Archer. QT Marshall tries to fight back. Then he ends up getting dumped. And then all of a sudden, Dr. Britt Baker hits him with a shoe. And because he came out in the wrong corner, on the wrong side of the ring, he was out in the apron where the heels were at. So she hits him with a shoe. Brandy grabs the shoe from Britt Baker and then she fucking throws it aside. That was funny. Anyway, so back up. Marshall heads up to the top after a back handspring kick. He headed up to the top and then jumped over Lance, and as the pounce follows, and then gets a near fall after a blackout slam. Lance opts to finish him with the claw, and then he gave him the fucking claw, and that was it. That was it from there. This was kind of a technical way to build between Cody and Lance Archer, because for the TNT Championship, the tournament final, this is building it. So Cody wants to fuck him up because he almost destroyed Dustin Rhodes, damn near killing him, just to get to him. So now he kills Marshall, who is basically family to Cody, in his little stable, so to say. So it's simple, but it works. It's progressing story, so it played out good. The match gets a 6.5 out of 10, but don't worry, it was good. It was very solid. After the matchup, Britt Baker laid out Brandy with a DDT on the floor and then tossing her shoe away. She rolls her in. Jake the Snake has the snake and draped it all over Brandy. Cody's probably busy smoking a cigar somewhere. Where the fuck was Cody? JR tried to cover, and JR, he did a good job. He tried to cover by saying the locker rooms were far away from the stadium due to social distancing. But, I mean, that was a crazy way to play it. So that was one way to play in with the pandemic situation. So, I like that fucking, that improvisation right there. It sure was awkward looking at Brandy getting covered by that snake. It was awkward as fuck, but it's not the first time I've seen that before. I've seen it happen back in the 80s. All right. So, we get the card for AEW Double or Nothing. So, the Exalted One, Brody Lee, will take on Jon Moxley for the AEW Championship. Then MJF will take on Jungle Boy. And then Cody will take on Lance Archer, and it'll be for the TNT Championship. Then I hear this shit. A casino ladder match at Double or Nothing, and the winner will get a number one contendership match for the AEW title. I was blown the fuck away from that. I was impressed. So, now I want to see this pay-per-view, because now you got something interesting going on with the story. And then you also got a random shit where you're going to have a number one contendership match. So this is going to be it's not a clusterfuck, but this will be a jumblefuck. So there's going to be a lot of shit going on with these type of shows. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it. Let's see how that goes. Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara start coming out because the main event of this one is Les Sex Gods. That's what Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara called themselves in this match, tag teaming, versus Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy. Now, while Chris Jericho was trying to come out, Pineapple Pete tried to assault Jericho and tried to punch him while he was trying to make his entrance. I'm surprised Sammy Guevara wasn't... Well, I was surprised Sammy Guevara did not go over there to fucking punch Pineapple Pete in the fucking nose, but apparently he was too busy singing Judas from fucking Chris Jericho's theme song. Fucking funny. But anyway, here we go. Hager's at ringside, obviously one of the 5 members of Inner Circle. Matt bites Sammy as the battle begins. So the match started with a bite. That's fucking something. They pair off, and Kenny and Jericho started fighting on the floor while Matt powerbombed Sammy for a near fall. And we're already down to near falls already. There was a spot where they started grabbing a table. Then they started grabbing some ladders. There was a lot of double teaming in this matchup. They started fighting at the entrance tube in the beginning. Jericho dumped Matt Hardy down into the entrance tube, and it was a 2-on-1 against Kenny Omega. Matt finally returns, but he's not broken anymore. He's old school Hardy Boys type Matt Hardy. So he started beating the shit out of him, hitting a twist of fate on Sammy. Sammy ended up dumping him because that was a near fall. Snapdragon by Kenny, and then Jericho started attacking with bat shots. Sammy's shooting star press eats knees. So man, this shit's already getting physical, and then they're fucking fighting. So then they lay Sammy on they get a table and they lay it on Sammy Guevara. Matt gets a ladder and they started setting up the ladder. Matt Hardy ended up splashing Sammy Guevara into the fucking ladder. Into the table. And that was a spectacular spot. That was a nice little spot right there. And he tried to pin him, but Jake Hager fucking pulls out the referee. So then all of a sudden, while that was happening, they were going to head to commercial break. But while that was happening, with the side-to-side shit, the fight headed to the floor. And they all started fighting outside of the ring, over the barricades, and they started brawling into the stands. Jericho was using a couple of chair shots on Matt. They all started fighting back, all the way to the back. Then all of a sudden, they ended up all the way over there near the side entrance of the building into the arena. And then they stuffed Matt Hardy into the fucking ice box. It was a fucking ice machine. If he got hit, Jericho hits him with a bag of ice, which to me looked fucking funny. But he hit him with a bag of ice, then he stuffed Matt Hardy in a fucking ice machine. Kenny battled back until Sammy just whipped him into an ATM machine and then Cash came out, which was fucking funny. I'm like, oh, so that's what you need to do. Don't give the fucking criminals some ideas. Anyway, Kenny started fighting back and then powerbombed Sammy Guevara into a garage door. A V triggered to Hager, and then Jericho cuts off Kenny. They started suplexing him onto a barricade, but then Kenny started fighting back. And he hit him several times with a wet floor sign. Then Matt came back as Damascus. This is Damascus. And then he just transformed from the ice machine. Then all of a sudden he gets a fucking golf cart and he hits Jericho with it. Not at full speed, but you get the point. You know, he uses the side of the golf cart and then hits him and knocks him down. Then Kenny ended up going into the damn golf cart, and then he started chasing Sammy, and then they hit him with the golf cart. And they laid him down pretty good. The way Sammy Guevara took that hit, the way he sold it was spot on. Perfect. They laid Jericho onto a table, and then all of a sudden, Kenny climbs up a fucking cherry picker. He gets raised up to the top and raises it up. And then all of a sudden, Jake Hager gets involved and started attacking Matt Hardy. So then Kenny Omega climbs on the top of the cherry picker, and then he moonsaults off and it hits everybody. And then they're just about when they were going on that little area where there was like a little mini football field going into the football stadium, because in Daly's place, it's right next to the stadium, right next door, where the stadium is, where the Jacksonville Jaguars play. So anyway, so from that area, here comes Santana and Ortiz, and they jump Kenny and Matt. And then the inner circle started overpowering them, and then they powerbomb Matt through the table. And then Kenny Omega, they send him to the golf cart. Then they powerbomb him on top of the golf cart. Then a Judas effect, and that was it. This was a fucking fun-ass brawl. It had a few wrestling maneuvers while they were in the ring, but it was only lasted like 3 or 4 fucking minutes. But after that, oh shit, we had a brawl. And it was it was a crazy brawl. It was fun. A lot of fun to watch. 9 out of 10. This was a great way to cap off AEW Dynamite. And I loved it too, because even Dr. Britt Baker, I checked out her Instagram, And on her stories, she posted a live video of her being right there in front of the action. Right in front of the match where they started fighting each other. Man, it was a lot of fun to watch. It was a lot of fun. But I like how this Inner Circle Elite feud is going. Once the Young Bucks start coming back, and then once the rest of the roster starts coming in, I bet you anything that a fantastic fucking match is going to take place. I just want this quarantine to end. I'm just like people out there. I'm not protesting because I understand the issue here. Don't want to get sick. And don't want to fuck it up for everybody. So I get that. 9 out of 10. What did I think about the show? The show gets an 8 out of 10. This week's episode of Dynamite was extremely fun to watch. And it was a live show. And they made the best by making some of the people from the locker room, whether they're for heels or baby faces, they were all making up for the crowd not being there. I hope they do this shit at Double or Nothing. Or actually, or I hope they get like some staffers from producers and shit to fucking watch the matches right there next to the ringside. Or just have the fucking people show up in the venue. Just have them wear fucking face masks. There you go. All right. So, the clear-cut winner of this week, the clear-cut winner was obviously AEW Dynamite. NXT gets a 5.5 out of 10. It was not the best show they've ever done. It was above average at best. But at the same time, AEW Dynamite reigns supreme this week. And, yeah, I mean, it's just incredible. So, you know, I loved it. They improvised, and they improvised very good. It was definitely worth the watch. Okay, so the reviews are in the books. Now, here's the closing segment of our show. I have a complaint about watching this week's Monday Night Raw, which has officially garnished the lowest rating in Raw history, getting 1,680,000 viewers. That is an all-time record low viewership for Monday Night Raw. Now, I'm going to start off with and pinpoint a couple of issues that we have here. There's at least 2 that I spot. Maybe 3. Well, yeah, it'd probably be 3. Okay. The show started on Monday Night Raw. The show started off with the VIP lounge, and it had showcased Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, and Asuka. Asuka dancing around like she doesn't give a fuck anymore. And you know what? To be honest with you, why would you in a time like this, especially when you can't do much. Just fucking say fuck it, whatever. Because what can you do? So, Nia Jax says she dominates and destroys and will do the same on Sunday. Asuka talks mad shit in Japanese, which, she's talking shit to Nia Jax. I believe saying Jax has a big booty. In other words, saying she's fat, I guess. Shayna says that she does her talking with her actions. Asuka's angry, and then they attack Nia Jax, and then MVP tries to hold them back. And that's your opening segment, and that's it. That's it? What the fuck? Okay. Now, that's possibly one thing that pisses me off on this week's show. We'll talk about that more later. Subject number 1. Here's subject number 2. I saw the Money in the Bank qualifying gauntlet match, and it started off with Bobby Lashley going up first against Titus O'Neil. That shit didn't even last a minute because Titus O'Neil's a fucking jobber. He may be the first 24/7 champion ever, but he's a fucking jobber. Nothing against him, though. Anyway, So he didn't last a minute. Akira Tozawa, who is wrestling in the Cruiserweight Open tournament, is next, and then he attacked with a kicks to the and missile drop kicked, and then all of a sudden he gets fucking speared, and he's pinned one, two, three, and he didn't even last 50 seconds. Shelton Benjamin comes in, he lasts 2 more minutes. Humberto Carrillo comes out, he actually gets Bobby Lashley disqualified for getting hit in the ass. Then he got speared. And then when that happened, Angel Garza came out, and Garza started controlling him. Pants are off. Garza runs wild. And then yada, 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 yada. Humberto ended up countering him, and then Sunset flipped him for a pin. So he eliminated Angel Garza to Angel Garza's surprise, along with Selena Vega. Austin Theory is the one that's up next. And he survives Austin Theory. So Humberto ended up cradling him, but he's already being fatigued by this point. So 16 minutes Humberto Carrillo is lasting here. And then all of a sudden, here comes AJ Styles. Back from the fucking dead. AJ Styles, back from the dead type of shit. And he's still heel, apparently. So he grounds things and works on his ribs. Attacks with a knee, firm control, bends him down. Gets a gut buster, then a calf killer. And then Humberto taps out. So AJ Styles win. Look, I'm not trying to review a whole entire Raw, but this is what pisses me off. And this is what pisses me off the fucking most. Akira Tozawa is 2-0 on the Cruiserweight Open tournament in NXT. But on Monday Night Raw, he ain't shit. He ain't shit. That is subject number 2. I talked briefly about subject number 1. That is these long-ass promos to not only start the episode, but, during the episode as well. I'll get to that more in about a minute. I don't give a fuck about the Seth Rollins type shit because it's one of those, with me at this time, the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. A pause for a 5-second, come on. Stop that shit. So anyway. So, I see Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink, and these guys are like the next big tag team to come up on Monday Night Raw, and they're actually managed by MVP. So he hypes them up for a match tonight, and the match turns out to be against Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. Okay, I watched the match. It was an okay average match, above average match. It was good. Maybe solid, to say the least. But here's my fucking problem. And to me, it just loses points. Shane Thorne and Brendan Vink win the match, and they defeat Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, which means Ricochet and Cedric Alexander have been further buried in the roster. And oh my god, what the fuck? Okay, here's why. Okay, let that sink in for a minute. Let that sink in. Okay, number 1. Shane Thorne has barely been seen in NXT. Number 2, Brendan Vink was recently a jobber to Dexter Lumis in NXT. So an NXT fucking jobber beats a fucking wrestler from Raw who was a main roster guy who just recently fought Brock Lesnar 3 months ago. What the fuck are they doing in the main roster? What the fuck are they doing? That's sense number 3. This is fucking pathetic. Bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. These bookers are on a whole nother level of stupid. And while I watched the Viking Raiders fight against the Street Profits, I wasn't even that interested because that shit just pissed me off to a point. It just killed it for me. Charlie Caruso interviewed Drew McIntyre, saying he'll slaughter such sheep. Who gives a fuck? Charlie interviews the Viking Raiders. They're dominant, and while they respect the Profits and even like them, they are just better. Who gives a fuck? I don't fucking care. And then the NXT Women's Champion Charlotte comes out and makes sure she puts herself over in the hardest working woman in creation. She defends against Io on Wednesday, which we already talked about, and will make Io's dream come true when she bows down to Charlotte. And then Liv Morgan arrives, and then they had some banter, which was blah, blah. Whatever. I like Liv Morgan though, but what the fuck? Liv running down Charlotte for her father's influence on her career. Charlotte says she knows who she is. She is proud of being Rick's daughter, and being born with a silver spoon in her mouth shall make Liv bow down. And she's just making fucking Charlotte Flair look like a bitch. But, you know, it's heel work. And she's doing the heel work well. So, I give credits to that. Although the match was a bit better than I expected, because Charlotte Flair could make work out of it. These fucking promos are just awful. Just fucking rotten. Just fucking boring. As soon as I found out that the main event was coming on between Drew McIntyre and Murphy, I changed the fucking channel and I turned the TV off. That's why this show is getting 1.6 million viewers. This is a show that used to get 8.5 million viewers at one point. And this was back 21 years ago. Now these days, they barely can muster 1.6. What the fuck? I mean, Vince McMahon, go the fuck away, dude. Go the fuck away. Your fucking old man antics just fucking suck. You, Kevin Dunn, and any of your fucking creative writers need to fucking get lynched. Seriously. Fucking degenerate jerk-off pricks. Fucking take them to a goddamn... Okay, maybe that was a bit strong there when I said the L-Y. They need to get Becky lynched. That's what you guys need to get. But no. You guys need to be hung in a fucking parking lot. Seriously. Some way, somehow. Maybe you need to get fucking smashed across the face repeatedly with a fucking piece of heavy mining equipment. You fuck. Well, on that note, I think we're about to end this episode. That was my official rant for today. Next week, we're going to review WWE Money in the Bank 2020. As 6 competitors from the women's side and 6 competitors from the men's side, we will find out who's going to literally climb up the corporate ladder to success. Or semi-success. I mean, look what happened to Damian Sandow. He got fucked over big time. But anyway, we'll be back next week and we'll review Money in the Bank for 2020. And let's see how that show goes. It'll be complete shit or will it be complete green? Will it be green or will it be brown? Just like the turd coming out of your ass. But on that note, I think it's time to conclude this episode. So, this is Eric Peralta, a.k.a. The Wrestling Enthusiast, reminding you to wash your ass. I'll see you guys later.